Hi, and welcome to the Awakened Minds Academy. So today I want to speak to you about getting uncomfortable. This is one thing that I have learned throughout my life, being an unconscious competent, which means I was living this material that I facilitate and that Bob Proctor teaches in his programs, especially the program Thinking into Results. I was living very much by those principles without really knowing what they were. And as I mentioned in an earlier post about my life, my story, I was stepping off the edge and getting uncomfortable out of a very deep feeling of having to prove myself worthy to myself, having to prove myself to those internalized voices that every now and then, every time I'd achieve a goal, every time I did something amazing, 5 minutes later, those voices would be like, well, that's nothing, what are you going to do now? You're just as worthless after this fantastic achievement as you were before. Okay, not maybe quite so tough and not quite so explicit, but our beliefs are not really in words. The ones that we have in our subconscious mind are ideas. And then when you put those ideas into words, you realize that they are internalized voices from the past. Did you know that there was a study that was made about how many positive comments a child gets a day? On average, let's say, right? 45 positive comments a day. And how many negative comments do you think a child gets a day? And we're not talking just about the parents, we're talking about teachers, classmates, schoolmates, friends, strangers, anyone, just people around. Can you make a guess at how many negative comments a child gets on average? 450. 450. Now, these negative comments are taken in to the subconscious mind because the child does not have an intellect, does not have the ability to accept or reject, and must therefore accept everything that is repeatedly put into its mind. And those comments then turn into your first language. It is then reflected throughout your life in what we call an internal conversation. And if you watch your internal conversations, the ones you have with yourself, the ones that in your imagination somebody has with you, somebody disapproving or somebody who is a friend, but then in your internal conversation, they're suddenly saying things to you that are terrible, that are not life-giving, that undermine your self-confidence. This is how far our conditioning goes. And it's really sad because this is what we learn to be comfortable with. So getting uncomfortable happens when you recognize that you have beliefs that are not serving you, and you decide to replace those beliefs with beliefs of your own choice. I am powerful. I am beautiful. I am capable of manifesting my dream life. I am abundant. I am calm. I am successful. I am prosperous. What about those comments? Wouldn't you prefer to believe those? Wouldn't you prefer to set your automatic on that kind of a frequency, your automatic life, your automatic thinking? But it's uncomfortable. Why? Because when you start repeating and planting and looking into the mirror and telling yourself these beautiful affirmations that you have chosen that are your truth, the old programming feels threatened. Your paradigms feel threatened, and you have a reaction, and it's called the terror barrier. It's confusion, it's fear, the new idea and the old idea don't mix, and you feel really uncomfortable. So what do? You say, oh, maybe these new ideas are not for me. I'm just going to let them be now. And we'll see. Maybe next month I'll start doing this again. And you move straight back into bondage. Into bondage of ideas that were never yours, that were just opinions of people who didn't know themselves. So, don't you think getting uncomfortable is worth it? Don't you think creating your own future out of ideas of your choice and beliefs that you plant into your subconscious mind, don't you think that's worth getting uncomfortable over? Why don't you write a yes in comments if you think that it's really worth getting uncomfortable over designing and living your own life, your future, the future that you want, with the finances you want, with the freedom you want, with the creative freedom that you want, with the ability to impact people with your true gifts and talents that you want. Put a yes in the comments. Let's see if you think it's worth it. All right, I'll talk to you again soon.